This one, I don't need a lot of notes. I mainly took notes on her early life. I did a ton of research on this one, though.
Did you?
Yeah, and actually, the more I did, originally my feeling was, I don't want to say torn, so it was split between how I felt about the crime she committed versus, I don't want to say sympathy, empathy maybe.
Yeah.
But, and I still do. I don't think that she probably had the greatest upbringing. It was actually atrocious, but anyways.
Yeah, we're rolling, right, Marissa?
We are going.
Okay, so who we're talking about today is
Aileen Wuornos.
Aileen Wuornos.
Aileen. Is it pronounced Aileen or Eileen?
It's Aileen, and
Is
they
it
called
Aileen?
her Lee.
Lee?
Yeah.
She had many aliases. So, but, and I think she went by a lot of names ever since she was fairly young, actually.
Probably.
But, so Aileen Wuornos was, they had her labeled as like a female serial killer from the 80s. Actually been 80s, 90s, because I think it was 89, 90 is when maybe the crimes were committed. And
yeah, because I think at the very end, that's where she was kind of reckless and didn't really care. And I think she got arrested in 91, didn't she?
I believe so. And she was actually convicted of 6 murders. She confessed to 7, but they couldn't find the 7th body. But there was a string of actually, at least from what I could find, actually 10 murders that they were investigating. A couple of those, they even worked with the FBI and they couldn't make a connection. There must have been some differences that the FBI at least ultimately concluded that she probably didn't have anything to do with the other 2. But definitely with the 6 that she was convicted of, and the 7th, to this day, I just checked again today, looking for any news articles, but they never found, his last name was Seams. Do you have his first name in front of you, Marissa?
Peter
Seams. They never did find his body. And she said that she dumped it, I think, maybe somewhere in Georgia or something like that, along a road ditch or on a side road or something to that effect, but never did find it. Still haven't found it. So,
Well, if she's just driving along and
but I don't doubt it because
how's she gonna remember?
That Seams is ultimately what led to her arrest. I believe it was Seams. I think it was his vehicle. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. But going back to her childhood.
Yes.
That was
Miss
bad.
Aileen. Yeah.
So,
So
she would have.
she was born and raised, grew up. Her childhood was where?
Was it Wisconsin? I don't think it was Wisconsin. It was Michigan, as I believe was where she was from. And so before she was even born, her parents split. Her dad ultimately ended up going to prison for, I believe, a sexual assault on a child and maybe a kidnapping charge.
Kidnapping, rape.
So to start off, her parents, her mother was super young.
Yeah, I think she was
When they
16
got married.
or 14.
They were 14 when they got married, or met, so to speak, and 16 when she had Aileen.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because she has an older brother, Kevin. Keith. Yeah, super young, which is kind of odd.
Yeah. To get married and have, now I don't know what the laws were back then. I don't know. I think each state kind of has their own laws so far as consent and things like that. I know in the state of Nebraska, I think through age 18, I believe you still have to have a parent sign off. But I think each state kind of has their own laws on that. But
You automatically think, okay, West Virginia's probably got a lower age of consent.
Arkansas.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think Michigan.
No. Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? I don't know.
But anyways, her dad was diagnosed as a schizophrenic. Ultimately,
This is her bio dad.
Her
now.
biological father.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we have to clarify because her mom took off when she was
4.
Yeah.
And at the age of 4 is when she was adopted by her biological grandparents.
Right.
And her childhood, a lot of, well, almost everything that I found would, I guess you would fall under the alleged category, because there's not a ton of documentation. It's basically according to her, maybe according to some friends, some childhood friends, some classmates, things like that. So there's probably a lot of truth to it, but it's not like you can find documentation through police reports, at least under her, you know, regarding her young life. But what we do know is she did give birth herself at a young age, I believe at the age of 14. I think there's been a couple of alleged fathers, one being a 60-year-old friend of her grandfather, who at the time was her adopted father. And the other was her brother.
Well, it could have been anybody because, well, okay, so back up a little bit. Like, first of all, you've got her mother who had 2 children by the age of 16, takes off and leaves the family, her bio mom, at age of 4. Her bio dad is, I don't know if he's in the picture or not, but ultimately he goes to prison.
It says that she never met him.
She never met him.
That he was, at that time, was serving a life imprisonment for kidnapping and rape.
Okay, so he's obviously got problems. She's then adopted by her bio grandparents, and then her grandmother dies when she was pretty young.
I think around the age of 15 or 16, I believe.
I thought it was okay. Because I was thinking it was before she had the baby, because I thought it was the grandfather who then ultimately did not let her come back.
That's correct. It says a few months after her son was born, she dropped out of school. At about the same time, her grandmother died. And then when she was 15, the grandfather threw her out of the house.
Yeah. So, and then her grandfather was diagnosed with some kind of mental disorder and commits suicide.
He did. Yeah.
Well, her dad,
her grandpa,
her biological dad,
was diagnosed with.
He was schizophrenic and he hung himself in prison.
But also the grandfather did as well.
Oh.
I believe he committed suicide as well, yes.
Yeah. So she's plagued with all kinds of shit.
Oh, yeah. Mental illness,
her.
I think, definitely, well, it seemed to run in the family. And her exposure.
From every direction.
Yeah. And her exposure to sex started young as well. So at the age of 11, it's alleged, and this is according to even some of her classmates, that she would trade sex for cigarettes.
At 9.
Yeah. And I believe one of the nicknames was, they called her the cigarette pig. Or something to that effect. So pretty bad for a child to go through.
Yeah, I had read that because the grandmother had passed. And see, I'm sorry, I don't know what age it was, but they were kind of growing up. Her and Keith were kind of almost left unattended, so to speak. Her bio grandfather was an alcoholic. I do know that was reported. So Keith and Aileen were often raising themselves, and I think because the two of them were alone a lot together, they were curious and had experimental relations with one another.
Yeah, because it doesn't, from what I am reading, it says that she had also engaged in sexual activity with her brother. Not like it was ever forced upon her by her brother.
Right.
No.
That's the story I had gotten into. And one of the reports from the neighbors, like a childhood friend, he got up on the stand. He was actually a witness, testified for her, and said, yeah, she had a hard childhood because, one day I walked in and there they were with Aileen. And the lawyer's like, well, what do you mean? He goes, well, there they had her naked and they were all having sex with her. And they're like, well, who? And he named off somebody, and then he said, and also Keith.
Yeah.
At like age 9 to 11, like in between that age range, like.
Well, her childhood was awful. I mean, to be raised through the age of 4 with just a mom, then you have a mom that bails out, leaves you with your grandparents, who at the age of 4, as she grew up, I don't think that as she got older, she realized that her grandparents were actually her grandparents. She always thought when she was in her teens that they were her biological parents. Probably didn't have a memory that went back prior to the age of 4. And I believe it in her teenage years. I think that that's when she discovered that what she thought was her biological parents was actually her biological grandparents. And I think that, at least from what I read, added to some of her emotional problems, because she had people in that community that had said that she had a temper at a very young age. So lots of emotional problems and problems with her temper, and was violent.
Yeah, one of the interviews that she had done, she said, they asked her why her grandpa, dad/grandpa, kicked her out of the house, wouldn't let her come back after she had the baby. And she said, well, there was he was had a lot of anger and animosity towards her.
The neighbors,
they're
out tearing around.
And he blamed Aileen for her grandma's death and said that her grandma died, like Aileen caused so much stress that's what caused her to die. And so here's this alcoholic grandpa that's, taking his anger and rage out on her and doesn't let her come back in the house. She's literally living in the woods behind their house for 2 years.
And this is after
outside.
If anybody's wondering about her child, that they forced her to give that up for adoption right away. It was was it a home for unwed mothers, or
something like that?
Yeah. But anyways, she was forced to give it up. Ultimately, after her grandmother died, her grandfather didn't want to deal with her anymore, so he all but kicked her out. She dropped out of school. She's living in the woods, like you said. She's still engaged in actually prostitution at that time to support herself.
Yeah, what else is she going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking to a 13, 14-year-old girl who's literally who's homeless, living. I can't imagine living like that.
Most people probably can't. I couldn't imagine it.
She said she found an abandoned, she would actually sometimes sleep in the wintertime in an abandoned car that was up on cinder blocks in one of her friends' backyard just to keep warm in the wintertime.
What surprises me a little bit is during this period of time, that the community is probably well aware of what's going on, and why nobody, it surprises me that nobody intervened, unless her reputation by that time was so poor, which I'm assuming maybe that's the reason.
Yeah.
She had this violent temper. They knew that she was engaged in a form of, prostitution for whether it be money, cigarettes, drugs, whatever the case may be. Probably maybe afraid to bring her into their home for fear that, if they have kids or, even if they don't have kids, they don't want somebody like that around.
Right.
But then you got to wonder about local law enforcement, whether you would think that they would be aware of what's going on.
And nowadays, and it's not like this is that long ago. This is when we were in high school.
Was it? Well, no, it'd have been after that. We graduated in 93, 94.
Oh, yeah. What am I thinking? She was caught in 91. What am I thinking?
So this would have been probably in the 70s.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
But even in the 70s, though, it's not like in the 70s that cops were on horseback and communicating through telegrams.
There was Boys Town. There was places like that. Boys Town wasn't strictly boys at that time, was it?
There was probably church groups. And matter of fact, I think probably back then, church groups were more involved with community help. That's what your original, I don't want to say welfare program, but back in the day, people relied on churches to help out people in need.
We'll be right back.
Not only are many trying to remove us from our constitutionally limited Judeo-Christian ethos republic, more seem to be forgetting our Judeo-Christian Constitutionalist foundations. Not here at Constitutionalist, we talk about all these things: the past, the present, the future. Biblical community, Judeo-Christian ethos, the whole Bible, biblical community, not worldly communism. And there is a big difference. Join us, Constitutionalists.
You would think that when she had this baby, of course, I suppose they thought, oh, she's going to go home, back to her home, and it'll be fine, not knowing that her grandpa would kick her out, not let her back in. But I was going to say, you would think that some organization would put her in a shelter or something.
Something.
I mean, she's an adolescent. She's a teenager. She's 13 years old.
Yeah. You know, when you look at, is I'm kind of reading her background in her childhood, you think about, I mean, you know, kids that age. Of course, we've had kids that age. You still have one that's still in high school.
Yeah, 16.
So I can't imagine seeing a kid today running around with those problems and somebody not getting involved, whether it be, you know, like I said, law enforcement or Boys Town or a church group or something, somebody intervening. But in her case, it didn't happen. So I guess that's kind of history.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because they had another witness on her behalf. It was another guy that was in town, and you know, these men admitted to having relations with her, and Aileen desperately wanted this guy or this boy at the time to be boyfriend and girlfriend with her, and he flat out said, I wasn't going to be seen in public with her.
I did see that interview.
And it's just, I mean, I know what kind of reputation she has, but to hear that, God, wouldn't that just break your heart?
And I think that's the one where
break your spirit.
That's the same one I saw. According to him, she understood the quote unquote rules of their relationship. That when they were out in public, you know, he would kind of ew her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
totally dismiss her.
So she ends up hitchhiking around a lot. And I think, didn't she end up in Colorado at one point?
Well, yeah, because she said she couldn't take any of the winters like that anymore. She didn't have a home, and it was too cold. So she decided she's going to make it to Florida. Now, where she went in between time, I don't know. I think she starts truck driving. She starts hitchhiking and prostituting.
I think at one point she was in Colorado. I think, if I remember correctly, there was some criminal charges filed in Colorado. I think there was one that had to do with a DUI.
Yeah,
maybe
driving
an
under the influence, disorderly conduct, and firing a .22 caliber pistol from a moving vehicle.
Well, and didn't she have petty things like theft from a convenience store or something like that too?
Yeah, well, I think that she probably
stole cigarettes, I think, from one of them.
She probably started that pretty young, and I think her criminal behavior so far as thefts, robberies, and things like that, it seems like alcohol played a big role in her life. And she carried that on, like you said, when she gets down to Florida. Because when she gets down there, she continues with prostitution. At one point, I believe she was arrested for a robbery and spent some time in jail or prison, about a year.
Oh.
So she had contact with law enforcement, same sort of thing, prostitution, thefts, robberies.
She was
assaults.
also briefly married when she first got to Florida.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. What was her husband's name?
She married
Marissa?
like a 60-year-old or
Louis
something like
Fell.
Louis Fell.
Is he old?
69.
Yeah. And he was I think the president of a yacht club.
Yep.
So, but that
She's got a
marriage
sugar
lasted
daddy.
a month. A month.
Yeah.
Well, because ultimately, with all of her history and her background of mental illness, she was cuckoo.
Oh yeah, she beat him with his own cane. That's what he alleged anyway. So
And he got a restraining order. And then within weeks of the marriage, he was looking. I think they were only married 9 weeks and they had it
annulled.
Yeah,
He
annulled
was
after
looking
9
for,
weeks.
He was looking for somebody to take care of him, and
Oh yeah, I saw pictures at that time. I mean, I wouldn't classify her as a really, really attractive young gal, but she's obviously young and he's obviously old.
But in 76, she was probably the perfect 76-year-old woman, or 1976,
Oh
she
no,
had
I've seen women.
blonde hair.
I've seen pictures of women from '76 in some old magazines my dad had, and she does not classify.
she was not one of them.
I don't know though, because there are some pictures of her that I'm like, oh, minus her crooked teeth, she didn't look bad. I thought she was. I kind of thought she fit the bill.
She always knew how to do her hair.
Well,
I mean, we're
For the time, she knew how to do her hair.
We're recognizing her from her prison
sure.
videos and pictures, and what do they have? They don't have any makeup in prison. They don't have all of that stuff. But
No, and she had some scarring apparently from a fire that she was in at a young age too.
But honestly, there's some shots of her that I'm like, oh, I can see where she. I mean,
Was attractive to the truck drivers.
yes, yeah. I'm not joking. I'm being serious
And I get that. I think also in that period of time, her brother Keith dies of cancer too.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And he left her some money, like $10,000 in a life
$10,000.
insurance policy, which she quickly blew through.
Yeah.
And within 2 months.
Yeah. I think she
On
she bought
on hotels and places to sleep, and
she bought a
booze.
car,
She
which
bought a
she
car.
promptly crashed.
Yep.
So, and I'm assuming
She
just
paid
based
off
on
fines.
her history. Yep, paid off some fines. Now that's responsible.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So there's a bit of responsibility there. I'm assuming there was probably some alcohol purchases because obviously she had a problem with alcohol, which is probably, I'm just guessing. So this isn't confirmed. That's probably why she crashed her car.
Probably so.
But so life goes on. She gets older. She continues to engage in prostitution. Probably engages in, some burglaries and some thefts. And then she meets a girl and begins a relationship with her. And I did read that this might have been actually the second female relationship that she had. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know what the name of the first would have been, but she met, and what was her name? I don't have my note.
Well, they called her. It's spelled Tyrea, but I think they called her Tyra.
Yeah.
They were Lee and Ty. That's who they were.
And she was like a housekeeper,
Motel maid.
a motel maid.
So, okay, and I should have went and looked it before, but is this relationship with Ty, is this after her initial, the first murder that she committed?
No, she didn't commit her first murder till after her and Tyra were together. Because her and Tyra were actually together for like 4.5 years.
Yeah. They met in 86 and the first murder wasn't until 89.
Yeah. So if you watch if someone watches, like, I think Monsters, is that the name of it's like a TV show based on a true story type of a thing, not an actual documentary. But in that, it almost appears as though.
No, that was a movie.
Was it a movie?
Yeah,
that was Charlize Theron movie.
Yeah. So in that, it appears as though
That's where
everything's quick, but I think they probably have to do that for time.
Sure. It was just Eileen's initial story that she committed this first murder in self-defense. And because the gentleman that I think was her first victim, he was not a good guy.
No, he had been convicted of a sexual assault prior to.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's
this.
ultimately the one, isn't that the one that she didn't get charged for? Is because
No, the one that she didn't get charged with was that seams, and that was only because they never found the body.
okay.
So, but yeah, the first one, she had two different stories. One that she was being sexually assaulted, and the other is consistent with the rest of the murders, which were mainly robberies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she flip-flopped, and it's hard to tell which is the truth. Because when they go, there's this journalist who does this interview who ultimately made that documentary. And the interview, or the original documentary was called Selling a Serial Killer.
Yeah.
And it had to do with basically the people that were involved with her after she was arrested, whether they were developing relationships with her just to make money on book sales and movie sales.
Well, there was, when I was reading some FBI reports, there was a production company out of California, and I can't remember what show they produced. I've heard of it before, but they had contracted with some of the law enforcement officers, detectives that were involved with her murder investigation. And what I read, I think it might have been from their agency. It might have been actually from the FBI, actually. That was urging this show not to go forward with production because I don't know if they were still involved with, maybe in an open investigation, maybe because they didn't find that seam gentleman yet, or what the case may be. But ultimately, I don't think they produced the show, but there was a lawsuit or some sort of court proceeding involving her about that, which I think she spoke about in some of the. She basically felt like, and this is funny, her murder was being used for somebody else to make money, which is not unusual. I mean, people make movies and make stories, but I think because it was so new that she felt like, and I'm sure those agencies also, like their supervisors, probably didn't sign off on this. I'm guessing because I guess I don't know if they got in trouble or not, but
yeah, well, her lawyer.
Oh, yeah. He kind of looked like a 70s disco guy, man.
Well, her lawyer and then the lady that legally adopted her at the age of 44.
Yes.
Yeah,
so
seems odd.
Those two were in cahoots. This is my opinion. Those two were in cahoots together to make money. And
Sure.
they were exploiting her, basically.
Oh, I think so.
And I think that's where her problem was, is that, that's when her story started wavering and she started going back and forth. Because in one hand, she wanted to tell the truth. On the other hand, she didn't want anybody to make any money off of her story. The reason then she took away the claim of self-defense is because she said, if I claim self-defense, then it's going to open the doors for a possible new trial. I can't go forward with a new trial because somebody's going to use my story to make money, and I need to go on forward with the death penalty and just go ahead and die because I don't want anybody to make any money. It just, her thought process is just scattered and all over the place.
Well,
so you just don't know what's true at the end and what's not.
No. And anybody that watches any interviews with her will see that she's a bit of a lunatic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it.
She flies off the handle just like that.
Oh, yeah.
And her thought process jumps from one thing to another. I mean, I feel like she has some type of either borderline personality disorder or some maybe bipolarism, maybe even schizophrenia. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about schizophrenia. I don't think she was hallucinating or hearing voices, but she clearly was. Like, she'd be talking just fine. She'd come out smiling and all nice and very gracious, and then just like that, her eyes would widen and she'd be screaming at the camera and cursing and just out of nowhere.
Well, let's talk about maybe her relationship with her girlfriend and maybe get into some of the murders a little bit.
Sure.
So she met this gal in a gay bar in where was that in Florida? Marissa's looking it up.
I have to get back up. Daytona Beach.
Daytona Beach. And I'm guessing this is probably the first, I don't want to say, well, maybe true love type of relationship that she had. Definitely probably the longest relationship she had. But also from reports, I think she was still crazy and violent, obviously.
Sure.
And she actually, so her girlfriend and that was at Tyra. Is that how?
Yeah, Tyra.
Anyways, she continued to work as like some sort of a housekeeper or something to that effect. But she also continued prostitution, and they would kind of bounce around from hotel to apartment to trailer house or trailer park, things of that nature.
Think of wherever they could go and they'd pay their rent, and then they'd get behind on their rent and they'd have to go somewhere else.
I'm guessing.
Bounced around like that.
And then was it 89, I think, was the first murder?
Yes.
Okay, so 89 is kind of when the murder, which is weird. I guess I don't know what would have triggered that. If it was, she killed this first guy who was I'm assuming a John.
I don't know.
And maybe what I would guess, and I don't know if this is true, because she alleged at one time that she was sexually assaulted, and then later on she told law enforcement that these were all robberies. I wonder if, because of her state of mind, if something was going on and something triggered in her, and like you said, she would fly off the handle if something clicked in her head and she perceived it as a sexual assault. And maybe it was. We don't know.
And in my gut, I feel like the first one probably was. He had this history of criminal offenses.
Sure. And something could have very well gone south.
And I feel like this first one probably was. Like something probably went wrong and he probably turned nasty. And some of that's probably true, and that's why she killed him. Yep. Now, the others, you're right. I think something triggered. I think she had this history of it in her past, and I'm probably if you're 9, 10 years, 11 years old, and you're starting your life out like that, don't you feel like throughout your lifetime in your teenage years you're gonna experience that kind of thing if you're known for it in town? Like there's probably some rape going on to her. There's going to be
nobody's going to believe you.
No.
Nobody will believe you.
Yeah.
You're a prostitute. You do this all the time.
You're known for this.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's going to expect it.
They're going to take advantage of her. Not only expect it, but her own mother is like, oh, she liked it.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
So, I think that.
Yeah.
And of course, maybe in her line of work and in sex work, probably not terribly uncommon, because guys that are going out there looking for prostitution or prostitutes and sex workers, there's probably a fair number of them that are, sick and violent.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. And she's probably been subjected to that many times before. But
how long was it between the first murder and then her?
The subsequent murder?
The second one.
So the first one, Richard Mallory, was November 30th, 1989. And then David Spears was reported missing on May 19th of 1990, and they found him on June 1st. In
her interview, she says that this is where my brain is taking me. The first one potentially could have been triggered by her childhood sexual assault, something like that. Something triggered her. Maybe there was something going on and she killed him. In this time period, then she says that Tyra was, okay, back up. She had, in one of her interviews, she had said that her normal Johns, a lot of them had left because they had to go, they had been deployed to Iraq.
I didn't hear any of that.
She's like, so a lot of my Johns were gone. And so she goes, really, honestly, money, making money was neither here or there to me. Like, she was spending, the only thing she was spending her money on was a place to stay and booze and cigarettes, basically. Food, whatever. She grew up with no money. She knows how to survive with no money. So she's breaking in $700 to $900 a week with her normal Johns. She's like, yeah, the money was great. Well, then she said her normal clients went to Iraq. They were getting deployed to Iraq. Whoever this may be. The money then is not coming in, and she's making like $100 to $150 a week. Tyra is now on her, like, you're not bringing in the money, you got to do something else, you got to start prostituting to strangers again. And so that's when she starts going out to strangers and finding these randos, and then that's when that killing ramps up.
What I assume probably happened is the first one went south. She kills a guy, takes his money, takes his car or whatnot. And after that, I think she realized that, I think after that, for her, it just turned into, well, I'm just going to start robbing these people.
Yeah, so, right. And I feel like yes, ultimately, then she didn't really want to engage in the prostitution part of it with the randos, and she thought, well, screw it, I'm just going to kill him and rob him, and because Tyra was pressuring her to get more money.
Could be.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
And I feel like ultimately, I feel bad for her. I hate to say this, but I think that Tyra really threw her under the bus.
Well, I can kind of understand that, because I'm guessing that. So as time goes on, we'll just kind of go through the killings were all basically the same. She shot them all with 22s. Some of them she would shoot a couple times. There was one, I think she shot like 9 times. This must have been I don't know how many shot revolver it was, or if it's semi-automatic or what the hell it was, but she would shoot them, take their vehicles, take their
It looked like money. An old Western revolver. You would think that only had 6 rounds in it.
Well, some of the 22 revolvers, because 22s are really small, you can get, 9 or 10 shot revolvers. I don't know, but so far as the throwing under the bus, I think, so after the police were kind of onto him, and this was actually due to the body they didn't find that was at that seam, because some people they'd had a sketch based on the 2 girls that took off from that car, I believe. I think they actually got some evidence from that car. I think they got like a handprint, palm print, fingerprint, something like that. And so law enforcement starts publishing these sketches. And so Tyra, I think, begins to freak out because law enforcement is somewhat closing in. And so she bails out. She takes off, skips town. Aileen is actually arrested originally for an outstanding warrant. In the meantime, the FBI law enforcement still working the case. She's in jail. She doesn't know that law enforcement has this case against her, is working an investigation involving these murders. And they track down Tyra. And I think it was more of a, hey, we know that you two were involved together, and so it was a deal. I don't think that they were necessarily really interested in Tyra, but they probably told her, and this is a common tactic, and it's used today, where, hey, if you work with us with, against the person that actually pulled the trigger, then we'll give you some sort of a immunity deal, whether it be less time in prison or no time in prison. So it comes down to, we're going to figure this out. So eventually, and you can either both go to prison the rest of your life, or, you can save yourself, work with us, and maybe not go to prison at all. And I think that's probably what happened. And it probably scared the shit out of her, because she was never the trigger person at all.
Well, it is what happened. I mean, they put a recording device on Tyra and said, okay, you need to call Aileen, you need to talk to her and get her to confess. And she did.
And she did.
She did. She got Aileen to confess. And keep in mind, like you said earlier, this is a relationship, probably her only meaningful relationship in her entire life. And as crazy as Aileen is, she was actually very tender towards Tyra. She loved her, and she didn't want to hurt her. She was trying to take care of her. And I feel like, that's ultimately what she said is, she was trying to earn more money for Tyra, because Tyra was pushing her to, we need more income, we need more money, you need to start prostituting to strangers. So she was complying, and she was trying to do that for her. So that's number one hit against her from Tyra. And now number two is she's rolling over on her and having this tape confession without, and Aileen basically was like, no, I'm not going to let anything happen to you or your family. And
I think that's when she confessed to the other 6, even though they only convicted her of a total of 6. But she had confessed to one of them. I think she knew that Tyra had rolled over on her at that point, and she didn't want Tyra to get into trouble, so she admitted on the next 6.
She didn't know until they were in court and Tyra was on the stand.
Yeah, well, she was convicted of the first one before they even brought charges on the other 5. So she had already received a life sentence for count number 1.
And that's the one she claimed self-defense.
Yes. Is that what you're seeing right now?
Because she was trying to get, she thought in her mind that she was going to get off because she was claiming self-defense. And this happened,
and it says that her defense made efforts during the trial to introduce evidence that Mallory had previously convicted for attempted rape in Maryland. However, the judge did not allow it, and she was denied her request for a retrial. And then she pled no contest to the murders of Humphreys, Burris, and Spears, saying that she wanted to get right with God. She said that she did confess that Mallory did violently rape her, but the others did not. They had only begun to. And she was given 3 more death sentences.
See, and there's another story too, where then she admits, no, I thought they were going to start hurting me.
And a lot of this could have to do with her mental state.
Sure.
And it's not lost on me that as a child, she had a horrible and unimaginable upbringing. I couldn't imagine anybody really living that sort of a life and not turning out too different than the way she did.
Right.
To be honest. It would be almost a miracle. Something would have to happen drastic to swing your life in a different direction where you would clean yourself up and become a productive, good citizen. But, it was one thing after another with this girl from the time that probably she was born with her dad going to prison and ultimately committing suicide, to her mom bailing out, to living with grandparents where one of them's an alcoholic and allegedly abusive, to her grandmother then passing, and then her being pregnant, being forced to give this child up, which, I don't know if she was I don't know if she wanted to keep it anyway, but getting pregnant at a young age, then your grandfather kicking you out and you're supporting yourself. You're already involved with sexual acts for cigarettes and money and drugs and whatnot. Then you're supporting yourself through prostitution at the age of 14, 15, 16 years old. You're then engaged in prostitution for the rest of your life because that's all you've ever known.
Right.
And your whole life, people basically taking advantage of you because that's kind of what prostitution would be. And I'm not saying that all sex workers are necessarily taken, I'm not trying to knock on sex workers if there's any out there listening. But certainly in her life, she probably got no breaks.
Oh, right.
So starting from a young age, so I can see at some point in life, you're just like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know any different.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, I feel bad for her. That doesn't mean I don't feel bad for her victims. I'm sure at least a couple of those, one of them I think may not have even been really a John. It might have been somebody that picked her up on the side of the road and was trying to help her out. I don't know that for a fact, but that's the way it appears.
That's the story, is that, yeah.
It was the retired former police chief.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he's the one that was actually shot in the back of the head. So
it just says he was fully clothed and had been shot 7 times in the head and torso.
Okay, well, if he's shot in the torso, that's a front. But I know one of the victims was shot execution style.
Yeah.
But anyways, I feel bad for all of them too and their families. And I think it's possible to feel bad for both.
Right. There's no excuse for what she did, obviously, and she was mentally ill. But like you said, it's almost like, it's almost inevitable. It was either that or, she was going to die a drug user. Something. A life of crime she was destined for it. Now, murder, that's the extreme, but.
And the death sentence was actually carried out. Now, was that the first death sentence that was carried out on a female in just Florida, or?
She was the second woman in Florida.
Second woman in Florida.
And the 10th in the United States to be executed.
So still, that's pretty uncommon. Mm-hmm. And she was, at that time, I don't want to say she was the first female or labeled as the first female serial killer, but present day, it's certainly not common.
Yeah. I actually looked that up because I was curious. I think there was they had listed 15 or so just right off the top of 15 female serial killers, but she's like the most recent.
Sure.
The one that's the most infamous.
Yeah.
But she said, she's like, I wasn't a serial killer. She goes, I'm technically a serial killer because I killed more than one person, but I wasn't in it for that salaciousness and that wasn't, I didn't get off on it. I just killed him because I was there to rob him.
Sure. This wasn't like your typical serial killer, like your Ted Bundy's or.
Yeah. So in that case, it's like she didn't have that sadistic side to her where she liked killing and liked, like we did BTK last week. He had a sick and twisted mind and wanted to see.
He was doing his for sexual gratification.
And to see fear and torture.
Sure. Which is kind of what a lot of them, what you would typically think of a serial killer is they liked something to do with death or killing somebody, made them feel powerful or got them off.
Yeah.
With her, she was just shooting them and basically robbing them.
Yeah. She was just,
Yeah. They were just a casualty of the crime she wanted to commit.
And they labeled her as a man hater. Maybe she was. I don't know.
I could certainly see from her point of view on why she would feel justified to hate men.
It's just, I think truly though, there was some part of it then that got triggered and she was just like,
sure,
nobody's going to hurt me again. I'm going to hurt them first. And
again, maybe something to do with that mental I mean, mental illness maybe ran in the family. I don't know if that's a thing, but
Oh, yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't know why it wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Marissa,
Yeah.
you look like you had something.
Well, in one of her petitions in 2001, petition to the Florida Supreme Court, she stated her intention to dismiss her legal counsel. I killed those men, she wrote. I robbed them as cold as ice, and I'd do it again, too. There's no chance in keeping me alive or anything because I'd kill again. I have hate crawling through my system. I am so sick of hearing she's crazy. I've been evaluated so many times. I'm competent, sane, and I'm trying to tell the truth. I'm one who seriously hates human life and would kill again.
And I think that was after the interview where I watched that she wanted it done and over with because she didn't want anybody to get any money off of her. And she thought in her mind, the longer this goes on, the longer this drags on, people are going to get money. Because what happened was this lawyer, the curly-haired...
Afro one?
Yeah, the guy who looks like, what was that famous? Wolfman Jack is what he looked like.
I was going to say, who is the famous painter?
Well,
Bob
yeah,
Ross?
Bob Ross too. Like, yeah. And then the lady that adopted her, they were offered. They were demanding $25,000 from this journalist who wanted to do this documentary about her.
Was both of them, or I know the lawyer was, but was she demanding money too?
Yeah, because ultimately they were in cahoots together. I mean, I don't know if initially, but she said that the lawyer was her agent.
Oh boy.
And so they were all getting a cut. Now, Aileen basically wanted $60 a month is what she wanted paid to tell her story. She basically for communities.
Well, for the commissary, probably.
Right.
I mean,
That's
what are you going to buy when you're in
$60
prison anyway?
Exactly. That's all she wanted. She just wanted a little bit of money so she could spend in jail, whatever. The other two wanted $25,000. Well, and they told this journalist that, well, Eileen's not going to talk until you give us $25,000. And then they played this cat and mouse game where they'd come and ask some questions and nobody would really say much. And they had these dates set to go and talk to Aileen that she was going to give her interview. And then time would go on and Aileen would not meet up with them. And she was dragging her feet. Well, then it got to the point where they just wanted $10,000 for their own story. Like, okay, we'll give you our version of the story. We'll tell you all about Eileen's story through our eyes, but we want $10,000.
I think just the way they did it, it seemed slimy.
It was slimy. And then when the journalist finally got to talk to Aileen, she's like, okay, what's going on between you? And this lady's name is Arlene, her adoptive mother, who's 7 years older than her.
I don't think it ever gave her age.
Aileen finally says, yeah, I've been having problems with them, and I think they're just using me for money. Obviously, they just were shady characters, and it just...
Yeah, I know that people make money off of selling stories, but I think that there's maybe a difference with... Well, especially if you're the person's attorney and you're actively their attorney. And at the same time, while you're supposedly acting on their behalf, you're going behind their back and approaching people trying to sell a story and saying, hey, I'll talk to you, but this is what you got to pay me. So that's where it becomes kind of shitty and shady. It's like, if you're her attorney, well, first of all, if there's going to be any business dealings, you should say, really maybe it should be for Aileen, which I don't know what she would do with the money anyway. But you probably ultimately should just shut the fuck up.
Well, there's an actual law that was in place called the Son of Sam law that says that convicts of murder cannot make any money from selling their stories. So that's kind of ultimately why this lady got involved is she read her story in the paper, and her husband are like, okay, I'm going to write to Aileen and I'm going to tell her that God talked to me and I'm supposed to reach out to you and I'm supposed to be your guardian, because Aileen had nobody. So that's how they get involved in the adoption proceeds is now Aileen says that we went through this adoption. I think it's at the time Aileen was 35 and she was 44.
Yes, I read that wrong, that Arlene was 44 when she adopted
and
her.
Aileen was 35, I think. And Aileen says that she adopted me so that way she could pay for my burial and cremation, basically. But ultimately, I think Arlene's intent was to be the next of kin so that she could make money.
Who is the one that spread the ashes anyway? Was that?
No, this was her friend Dawn.
Yep.
Okay.
One of her friends from her hometown.
Yeah. And I think ultimately, if there ever is any sort of a dealing or money made off of Eileen's story, and maybe this is the way it does happen, that any proceeds go to the victims' families. And I think in a lot of cases, that's probably what happens. Like with, O.J. Simpson, I think, would be actually a good example. I think any of the proceeds from anything that he would supposedly profit off of so far as his story, even if it was his version, that those would go to the victims of...
Right, because what he's
Anna
owed to
Nicole
like
Smith
his
and-
civil case.
and Goldman.
Yeah. So anyway, initially, this lady, her story was bullshit of this adoption. You know, she saw dollar bills and she was gonna finagle a way to get it.
And that's where a good attorney would step in and say, no.
And so
no.
her attorney, he was a dope smoking, guitar playing, like making up, like he looked like he had a house full of 20 cats and like living in his mother's basement. I don't know where he got his law degree from.
To me, he looked like the kind of guy where you walked into his house and he had still vinyl records like taped to his wall or something, in a disco ball hanging from from his lights in his living room or some shit.
How did this guy pass the bar? I'm thinking, is he really a lawyer? There's
I don't know. When you see him, it's kind of comical because you're like, what the fuck? Who is this guy?
I wrote into the comic section for my law degree.
Didn't the guy that was doing the documentary at one point say they had to go on a road trip? I don't know if they were driving to court, and he called it like the 7 joint ride or something like that, because the guy smoked weed the whole way there.
Yep.
And then changed his clothes right before they went into, I don't know if it's a court or a prison or what.
I think they were going to see her in prison.
Yeah,
Maybe
they
that's
were.
what it was.
And it was like a 5-hour drive or whatever, however long drive. And
Jesus.
yeah. Oh, God.
First of all, how would you like to be why would you ride with somebody while they're smoking weed, first of all? That'd be like, hey, we're going to go on this road trip for the next 5 hours, and hey, pass me a beer. I'm drinking the whole way there.
Yeah, it's truly Cheech and Chong. That's kind of what he looked like. Bigger version with that hair and that.
Yeah, he's definitely...
I don't even know. I can't even remember what his name was, but man.
I can't find his name anywhere.
He had commercials like a used car salesman. You see those old commercials from back in the 70s of used car salesmen. And buy now.
What was the movie with the Anchorman? He reminds me of somebody that would be on the movie The Anchorman.
Oh, totally.
Oh, shit.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, she got no breaks, especially with that guy.
No. Yeah, if you think about it, really, she was hosed her whole life.
Yeah, totally.
Couldn't even get a good lawyer. Couldn't even get a decent lawyer.
Okay, I take that back. So she was appointed a lawyer, but then this guy, she actually hired.
Did she hire him?
Yes, she hired.
I thought he was going to do it pro bono or
Well,
something.
maybe, but she fired or got rid of her appointed attorney after she was convicted of the first murder.
Okay.
And so then because she thought she was going to get an appeal or she was going to get off on this self-defense theory. And so she got rid of him and she hired this guy.
Yeah, I think when she was sentenced to death, she was obviously pissed off when she left the courtroom and flew the birds right at the judge. Jeez.
Yep.
Oh boy. She was definitely a character.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if I got anything left.
Can you talk about her last meal?
What was her last meal?
What was her last meal? Because it was like $20 worth.
It was a cup of coffee.
Oh, yeah, because I think she was only allotted a $20
She declined
budget.
her last meal, which would have been anything under $20.
Wow.
Now, this is back in what
2002.
year? 2002.
Not back in.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, 2002.
Well, that was 23 years ago.
I know, but it's not
But
like
still.
it's the 70s or the 80s where
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
That's our children's
have
age. Like,
$20
we would have
to-
had kids then, and
Yeah, but how many? Do you remember back in the day where you could go to? I don't know if it was. I think it was McDonald's, and you
the
could.
dollar menu.
Oh, it wasn't
Yeah.
a dollar menu. What did we buy at that time where it was a Christmas party for the bank, and we drove to Grand Island and got like 50 hamburgers.
We bought like 50 cheeseburgers.
It wasn't because of drugs, folks.
No.
But so yeah, she probably could have got 20
Yeah, she
cheeseburgers.
could have. Well,
she could have got a steak for $20.
Back then, yeah, you
Yeah,
probably could have.
Absolutely.
Well, you can get one today for $20, but I wouldn't recommend eating it in a restaurant anyway.
Yeah.
What do you-
Eileen.
What are you typing away
So,
there?
okay, ultimately, they said she was going to be electrocuted, but she died. She didn't die of electrocution,
No, it
did
was
she? She was lethal injection?
Lethal injection.
Yeah.
a Big Mac in 2002 was only $2.35.
Yeah, so she could have got, 8 of those.
Instead, she opted for
A cup of coffee.
the McCoffee. No McLattes then.
I was going to say, it
no
was probably
McCafe.
just a gross cup of coffee from the prison. Is like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I do. I feel I kind of have a soft spot for her because she got dealt a hard hand.
Yes. And I don't want to say she was 100% honest up to the end, but in a way,
I think there's, I think,
she owned it, I guess.
oh yeah. And
In
I
the
think
end.
that's the thing was hard to decipher because she also had some conspiracy theory thoughts too. Like her thought process was, well, the cops knew I was killing them,
yes.
but they didn't arrest me because
They wanted a story.
They wanted to sell my story.
Yeah.
So she had this conspiracy theory thought process going on in her mind that they were against her. So then you never really know, is she telling the truth? Or is she buffaloing
well,
us?
she started accusing the prison matrons of tainting her food with dirt and saliva and urine,
and they were also
trying to just push her over the edge. And
they were subliminally sending messages to her through some
Yep.
sound system or something also, right? Or
I
they
think
were playing.
I remember saying something to that effect.
Yeah, they were torturing her. And that's another reason she was like, Jeb
Yeah.
Bush was he the governor in Florida at that time? And she was
Yes.
like, just sign my death warrant
Yeah, he's the one
already.
that
Like,
lifted
get this
this-
over with because they were torturing her.
Because there was a stay of execution, and Jeb Bush lifted that.
Yeah.
So
She at that point, she was like, just let's get on with it. Just, I want to die. I'm sick of this torture. And whether it was happening or not, who knows? But you're never really going to know for sure with old Lee.
well, she was Interesting. So
I didn't know all of her background, so that was interesting to do some research on her and find out a little bit more.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
the first I really ever heard of her was, I think, when that movie Monster came out. What movie or what year did that come out with? And I gotta give it to Charlize Theron. Like, she did a hell of a job.
Oh, is that the actress that played
portraying her?
Oh man, she looked like her.
Do you know what Charlize Theron looks like?
No.
In real life?
No.
Oh gosh, she transformed. She's pretty.
2003.
So, yeah, wasn't that long after her execution then? Yeah. That was the first movie. I mean, I'm a horror movie buff, but that was the first movie that kind of gave me like a weird ick feeling, and I don't really know why.
Maybe it was the house that they lived in the movie, with the giant stains on the ceilings and.
I don't know. It was like, it gave me this weird, like, it was a movie that once I got done watching it, I'm like, I never want to watch that movie again. I am just fine never watching that movie ever again. I don't know what it was. I don't know.
I know
maybe it was her mannerisms. Like, it was creepy.
But because we watched the movie before we watched the documentary. So seeing how Charlize Theron acts and then seeing Aileen, it was like, kudos.
She nailed it.
You know what's funny? You say that because when I first watched that the movie one, I thought, man, the gal playing this is really overplaying the kind of the butch, bitch,
No,
but she
nailed
wasn't.
it. She nailed it.
That's what she was like.
Totally nailed it. Oh, the way she would like try to flip her hair
Yeah.
without using her hands. It's just the weird.
Or, man.
Yeah.
Man, like,
Yeah,
Even the way
she was just like that.
yeah.
The skating in the ice rink scene, or not ice rink, the
skate
island,
rink?
like the skate rink.
It brought back memories.
I'm like, and the way she just kind of sticks out her belly pooch, and I'm like, oh God, it's just like, oh, it's so real, it's so just raw. Like, holy cow.
Did you go to the skating rinks back in the day?
Oh yeah, Skate Island.
Yeah. What was the other one?
There was another one?
There was another one.
Yeah, there was two skating rinks. There was one where the mini golf was there by the mall.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Skate Island.
Yep. There was another one over off of South Locust.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you thinking Super Bowl?
Nope.
Oh.
It was just behind.
See, we never traveled to that part of Grand
Yeah.
Island.
Yeah,
We weren't allowed on that side of town.
You know where Texas T-Bone is at? In that little strip mall, and there's like the, I don't know, the big bull or cow or whatever's in
Yeah.
the parking lot. Okay, just to the east behind that, where that fire department is now, there used to be a big building there, and there was a skate rink, and I can't remember what the heck it was called.
I thought that was like a go-kart place.
No, that was a skating rink. That's where I went.
Huh.
That's where all the trashy people went.
Yeah, I did not know about that one.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, like I said, when we went to Grand Island when we were kids, actually, I don't know that I ever went when I was a kid to do anything like that. Like my parents never took me to movies or anything like that. I was the youngest, and I wasn't privy to all of that fun stuff. So I think the first time we went to Skate Island, I was in junior high, and we would actually go as a school. Like, it was a Skate Island, like, field trip day. We'd go to Skate Island.
We went with friends. I mean, I don't remember my parents ever taking me. Maybe the one in Omaha when we would roller skate when we were really young.
Yeah.
But it was just like the movie.
Yep.
Isle of Fun.
Huh?
Isle of Fun.
I don't remember that being the name.
Huh.
Yeah.
What a deal.
So, well, should we close this one out?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Sure.
Well, we'll see you next time.
Yep. Have a good night. Bye.
let someone talk.